Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new edition of the Andrew Rogers podcast. My guest today is Karl Levy. How are we doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm not too bad after waking up 3 hours ago after finishing off the night shift. So yeah,
Yeah, thanks for coming on after a night shift, man. That's much appreciated.
no, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Um, so, we'll go back to the start, Carl. Um, growing up and how it was for you. Was it, you know, growing up and all that down south, where you came from? What was the area you grew up in? That like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Huddersfield. Huddersfield was where I was born. My mum moved to Huddersfield when she came from Jamaica. She was born here in the UK. She was born in Nottingham, but my mum came back in the late 80s to start life back in the UK. And she brought my sisters along before years before I was born. And she met my dad. My dad was a draftsman, just left college right around that time. So he was for me. I was born in Huddersfield in an area called Bracknell. It was an estate, and growing up in a housing estate is kind of different to where people used to be growing up. I knew I was in that kind of deprived background in a way. So, you know what, Bracknell had some decent people, but it had its problem. It always had its problems in the past, and so
yeah,
mainly with drug related in the late 70s, 80s. That did turn a knife, and there was a lot of rioting going on as well too because of the pressure of between the council and the state itself. So yeah.
yeah. Is that? Is it, I'm not sure. Has that all been documented on the news before?
It has, yeah,
In the
very
news
much,
before, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it has, and do you know what? And one of my old support workers was in the news, was had an old video clip. He got interviewed from the news, and Bracknell's been well documented in that part of the Yorkshire because of these troubles it had, and
Yeah,
with the antisocial behaviour and all that stuff with the drugs, and it's not pleasant for a child like me growing up in that area. But you know what? I was used to it, so yeah,
yeah,
it's always, yeah, exactly. It was always being that described as that, but it had some decent people and there were some good people there. But the area had its issues, and didn't know that the fact that at some point, if the area was not going to improve, this sounds like they was going to knock down majority of the estate, and that's where the controversial start happened because the council wanted to knock down the estate and altogether, but they didn't give us time to move away. So, and there was a lot of
yeah,
controversy with that one, and like I said, all my mom and her friends, we all grew up in that area. And we're like, where are we supposed to move? Because if you're
yeah,
building new homes, where are we supposed to go? So they had to delay the the project for a few more years until we all have to move out. But I grew up in Bracknell since I was
yeah.
a little baby from day one. So yeah,
If there was an area you would sort of compare to, in Edinburgh, where would you compare it to?
I could compare it with probably a bit of Western Hills and Sight Hill to Carlton. They like that
Yeah,
similarities, and also West Pilton as well. So because
yeah,
those
well,
areas, yeah, those areas has had those resemblance of where I used to grow up in Huddersfield. So I know what it's like, and I can understand these people, don't get looked after properly and not being looked out, and that was the issue we had with Kirklees
yeah,
Council. So yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
So just want to make it into context for anyone who's watching or listening, um, who might not be familiar with the areas in Huddersfield and Yorkshire, just to give it some context.
Yeah, Bracknell was an estate that was done after the Second World War. I think there was some other areas that got similar as well, such as Fartown as well, not far where the Huddersfield Giants used to play that growing up. And there's an estate called Walpole in Lockwood that is also had its issues as well. So there's a few
Yeah,
areas where this has got similarities as what I used to grow up. So, but
yeah,
as I said, growing up in Bracknell, things did change after I kind of moved out because I didn't move too far. I actually moved where I moved this third time in my life. It was not far to where I was first born, across the road. So to be quite honest with you, I lived off the street where my first house was, and they knocked it all
yeah,
down. The council decided to I think it was only a small number of people from the council got the houses. We were offered, but we refused it because we found that the walls were too thin. You could even knock down the next door wall by a punch, you
Oh,
know. So
it's like it's
yeah,
possible.
so yeah, exactly. So to quite honest with you, I was a lot more happier than just saying, right, I'd rather be in a nice stone pebble house that was built after the war, and it was all better. And we did that, and you know what, it was worth it. And I think most of the houses were sold to private developers. So and what they're trying to do is trying to get rid of the name Bracknell, which they have been doing for so many years. So they try to erase Bracknell. I think the people in Fixby, which is an affluent area, not far from where I used to live, they were a bit angry, saying, "Oh, why are you calling yourself Lower Fixby? We're not calling ourselves Upper Fixby." And there were a lot of heated debate with that one between those areas. So, and they had to instead of they've now called it Ferndale. But I still go home, I still see it's Bracknell. I've never changed what I sense is that I don't care what the name is for I still see it's Bracknell. I still resembles where everything was. So, no, I don't. Yeah, exactly. And to quite honestly, I don't get people trying to raise the name Bracknell. Yes, it's had a bad reputation, but don't raise something that has a bad reputation if you want to prove something on it, So, yeah.
Yeah, sort of like what Nidri used to be like. Nidri, they destroyed part of them. They took down houses in Nidri, and they've got the new houses. If you drive through and that, and you've got the new estate, but they never changed the name. You know what I mean? I think they changed the name
Yeah.
from what it was to the Haze. I think it's called. But that's weird for to me. Changing the name of the place because of what it's identified with by politicians and that. I think that's just wrong. But it
Yeah.
kind of shows what it was like, in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, being very conservative and Tory minded.
Yeah. I don't think because I think where our local area was represented by Labour councillors. That was a big thing for us. So,
Right.
and I know most of them as well because they were huge for us. They were a bit angry of how the plans were because I think it was a Labour council as well, but they were angry how we didn't have enough time to prepare for this. So who's gonna be benefited from this? So, and what I did find out after we all moved out, I think most of the people got relocated in Huddersfield, and I think most of them did get relocated around the UK. So there was always been that divide. I think not a lot of people didn't want to stay in Huddersfield much longer. So, but like I said, I think since then, I think the Deaton Bracknell initiative really have put their money in their mouth because they had to improve the local services. That was the huge important thing. And, building 2 new community centres, which was one of them, which was hugely needed. I think one in Bracknell needed because we were sharing it with the church and it was so small. And I found it took years to get that done, till a couple of years ago. So, but the area has changed its way, and there's people that still know who are still running their local services, such as Timmy Taxis and Tony Strippy. They're still around there. Everything the local business is still there as someone can be. So yeah, the area has changed, but some of the people who still live around there have been there for a long, long time. So yeah.
Yeah, and having more community centres and that place for youth clubs and place for the young kids to go to keep them off the street.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Do you know what? And I think as well with keeping off the street, I think because like I said back in Huddersfield, we helped a few of our mum's friends were DJs, so they were playing on illegal streamer and pirate radio. That was keeping people
yeah,
off the community. And I think, do you know what? Every time I used to see them down at one of the pubs, they always do the broadcast, and I always chat there,
yeah,
and they always had to keep going around to move places so the police don't even catch them. They've been caught a few times, but I think they've been a lot more better now. And I think, do you know what? They're the kind of thing that keep us all going, because when we don't have something we don't know, keep us going. And I think that's what we try to do. And I think, but I know Bracknell's had some bad stuff for the last couple of years, and part of the area as well, because a couple of years ago there was a shooting at the Huddersfield Carnival, which the carnival is now gone. It's now cut down to a minimum. It used to be up at a park. It's not that anymore. It's now Husset Centre, and there was some gang shooting. And I'm glad nobody get injured, but there was concerns with that one. And the police are still going around the nearby the areas, just arresting people. And I think the youngest one was 13 or 14. So there was a little bit, there's still concerns with that one we need to improve on. But we just need to make sure the areas always be safe. You know, we want people to be trusted. That's the thing. They're not got the what I have now here in Edinburgh. Not everyone's not going to have that. So
yeah, you know what it's like being brought up in, places that have, it can be rough and, you know, bullying going on and all that. So how was going to school in Nepal? It can't have been easy. You know, and the background you've got, you know, trying to think how to do it. You know, having the disabilities you have,
yeah,
dealing with that in the 90s, because I remember being at school and they didn't know how to deal with people. Um,
yeah. I was in the
and I
same
went to school
situation as well.
I went to school that was predominantly just, white kids. If that's the right term to put it. Um, and how was that for you? Because I can imagine that's not easy. Um, even going into the 90s, it can't have been easy.
It was never easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think where I grew up, it was very much a culture area. So we did have not just blacks and whites, we had Asians as well. And also, yeah, there was everyone all together. We all were together. And I was in the predominant school at Christchurch with us, which was my predominant school. And my sisters, I think Tanika was the one that went to, was one. I think Keisha was a bit older for that at the time. So she went to Royal Front High. But I do know that it was a tough one. And I think when I was diagnosed, they didn't know what was going on with me. They were seeing signs that something was not right, and then it took them, I think, from 93, something like 93, 94, from all those years to get when I was getting tested, and they didn't know what was. And then yeah,
because you're older than me, aren't you? Because I'm
I
29.
am. I'm old. I'm 29 this year, so yeah,
So you're what?
I'm getting 29. I'm getting too old, Andrew.
Oh, no,
Don't
you're
look. I'm
only
getting
just older than me. Yeah.
yeah, just older, but I'm gonna be 30 next year, so don't revive me that one. So
I won't, I
yeah.
won't.
Yeah, so no, pretty much it was very much hard for me at the time. And then when I got diagnosed
Yeah.
officially in 1997, autism was still a taboo thing, especially where I was growing up in. It was kind of very taboo in some areas because I don't think I was
Yeah.
one of the few people at school had autism, but I don't think that they had to get the mechanisms in place. But it took them a long time, and I think my behavior was really bad. It was, no one could deal with me. All that
What was it
stuff. I used
like?
to be kicking and screaming, damaging glass, windows, you name it. And there
Yeah.
was one time I threw an egg capsule at one of my sport workers. I still love Rash. Rash has been not just a good sport worker, but also a good neighbor where we grew up. So it was easy because his daughter, has always been my closest friend, and I remember he was trying to restrain me, and it was this is how I thought to myself, I'm not going to do something I'm going to regret. And I remember seeing the egg caps. So one of the egg caps had a crack on the side, and he could easily cut through. So what I did, I actually turned around and I actually lashed at him, and he got at the top of his eyebrow a little cut. I'm like, oh no, yeah, yeah.
Oh God.
That was my the one thing that was worse than I did in my life. And I don't know how he still wanted to support me after that, but I thought to myself, wow, he's also my neighbor, but he's also a sport worker. And he was trying to, when I turned around, I thought, everywhere in slow motion, I thought,
Yeah, I know what you
please
mean.
just
Yeah.
duck. Yeah, please just duck. Just duck.
Everything just
Don't
slows
worry.
down, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I got him point right on the point. I'm like, oh my God. And I remember my mum had to pick me up, and she was not happy. She was never happy. I was like,
No, I can
Cal,
imagine.
yeah. Oh no. That time she took me out. I had to remember. I think she went to because she used to work down at a pub at Wagon and Horses, and I was like, Cal, I'm angry with you. Don't even say, it's just like, yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a tough schoolhood at the time, and I think as well when it got to the new millennium, they were all trying to get rid of me because they couldn't. I don't think they had because the resources they had. They were struggling with it. They were really struggling with it, and
Yeah.
so due to the last final months at school, they only let me do half a day because they felt like it just didn't make no sense for me to come be back there permanently. So essentially, right, we'll have to look for a school that can deal with you, and the result of having resource provision. So they had to send me about 4 or 5 miles to another school, which was kind of on the other side. It was like Moe Green, and Moe Green had that facility for me. So I had to get
Yeah.
school transport from then on. So yeah.
I bet you felt like royalty sitting in, I'm getting driven into school. Yes.
It was like that. It was like that in a way because, but one thing I do remember, it was not seeing my friends and the friends I've grown up with
Yeah.
from nursery. Yeah, that was a huge difference, and I didn't get to have that opportunity to be with them basically for life. From school all the way up to some of
Yeah.
my friends are not. One or two of them gone to uni, but some of them, so it was hard. It was hard, and some of them I didn't even. I've not seen again. I've never seen again. So yeah.
Yeah. I know what it's like to move schools from I moved high schools in first year. And it was a completely different area. Like where I grew up, it's like a small village. And we went to I went to Broxburn Academy, and all my mates, and then mum and dad split up, so we moved, and then I went to a school where it was like concrete jungle. It's the only thing I
Yeah.
can compare it to. I remember saying to my mates, "Oh, I'm going there," and they were all like you're gonna have to watch yourself up there. Like it's rough up there. Like literally be ready if anyone
Yeah.
starts on the nonsense with you. Um, did you have any like problems coming from a different area? Because I know
It,
being being
oh
younger,
yeah.
that it's very much like that.
Yeah, it was kind of similar like that. Even Mo Green as well as Dalton, it was kind of similar to Bracknell, but it wasn't that bad. It was people who did have a lot more better housing. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
and I think it did have a bit of a resemblance of what an area should look like. And to be honest with you, like I said, both of them before that, both in the 90s, my parents split broke up. So for that it was difficult for me. Having
yeah,
two single parents, I'm gonna have to deal with who's gonna bicker and fight. Fight. It was always that. It was always like that. And look,
yeah,
I've always had a good time growing up with spending time with my dad. Staying at my grandma's during every weekend and all that stuff. I
yeah,
used to come off of school, getting ready to go away for a few days, just for 3 days
yeah.
for the weekend.
It's like a
But
holiday, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But when I did go to Moe Green, when I went to change Moe Green, I was in my last 2 years, so they had to move me within my last 2 years before my SATs. So that's why they had to let me go, Christchurch. And I can understand why they did that. And I know it wasn't easy for them, but I wish they did more to keep me. But I think going to Moe
Yeah,
Green in the end did help me succeed a little bit, be more better. I still got in trouble a little bit, but it was. But I did succeed on what I needed to do. So, there was some incidents where I did hit my head teacher. I don't think he's still alive to this day, Bob Whitehead. I hit him with one of the abacus on the head, and he was bleeding from the head, dripping down onto my shoes. I remember that. I can remember, he was trying to strain me. And I remember
I
I
shouldn't
was like,
laugh.
yeah, this is what happens to me, right? When someone's trying to restrain me, right? I always find something the first thing to get them
Yeah, you're
off
gonna
me.
kick it, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. It's what it was. So to quite honestly, yes, I did that. I got that. I just grabbed it in the side. I just hit it at, and he was bleeding and his blood pouring down from his head onto my shoes.
That's absolute. That's brilliant. We shouldn't laugh because it's like violence, but
I know.
head
I'm trying not
teacher,
to
man.
laugh, but I know I'm trying not to laugh, but growing up, you're like, well, you laugh it off. But when you're young, like, yeah, I don't, it's a bit bad. But you laugh it off because that was always the issues of. I think at the time, not everyone knew how to restrain people with autism
Yeah,
properly. I think that was always the issue, not how to calm them down. So it was a
yeah,
bit of an awkward time, yeah, because they will still be physical with people to hold them to try to say, no, you're not going to do this. But with me, I was a different animal. I think I had those kind of levels, like I wouldn't say I call it the excitement levels, as my mom call it. When you get that high,
yeah. No, I
it's
know
gonna
what
be
you
too
mean.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not gonna deal with me quite well. So I've always warned people that. And you know what? Even though I even hit the head, he did forgive him because it wasn't easy to deal with. I wasn't the easiest person to deal with. So no, I got
yeah.
through that. Both Green. scared me the last 2 years. Well, yeah,
Thing is, back then, autism wasn't, the thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I didn't encounter anyone like that till I went to high school, and
yeah,
my approach always was, if someone's having like, I call it like an episode of a high, I always used to think, just leave them alone. Like they'll calm down on their own. Just leave them to it. I just always had that instinct when I was younger. Um,
yeah.
and I think I sort of related because I had a really bad temper when I was younger, and the only way to calm me down was just to leave me alone. I just thought, well, I like being left alone when I lose it.
Yeah, exactly. My family knows that quite well. I like to be left alone because do you know what? Because people think, oh, I don't care. I'm not thinking about them. Of course I do. I think about them when I need to be left alone because I feel the pain. I feel my pain, but I also feel their pain as well. So I've always
Yeah,
been
I
like
know,
that.
know
And
that.
a lot
Yeah,
of people always get misconceptions thinking, oh, Carl don't give a damn about anybody. I do care. I do give a damn, and I do care. And
that's
then
the
I've
thing.
always been, yeah, I've always been caring.
Yeah,
That's what my mum taught me. I was the only boy in my family to realize because growing up in a house of women, it was different. I had to be the care. I said, I do care. And, I'm lucky to have my mum. I'm lucky to have my sisters because, you know what, both of them, both my sisters, growing up, Keisha grew up without a dad, after he
yeah,
died in the mid 80s. Tanika, her dad is, you know, living in Jamaica. They don't talk as much anyway. So to
yeah.
quite honest with you, I could, understand that because it was half of this. So I did show my caring side. Yes, we did have a bicker fights as a sibling war, as we did. But I've always cared about
Yeah.
them. They've always been that close. I'm always been close. I'm always close with my sisters, no matter what. So, but no, a lot of people get
Yeah.
misconcepted with that one when I'm like, oh, Carl, Carl, why is Carl walking away? Why is he need time? I think one example is my partner Helen. I think Helen was very the other day. I was bad. I want to get away, but she doesn't like people to walk away because I understand that because she likes to be close to people. She's not one of those people that who's live by themselves and all right by themselves when they need to go away, calm down. She's more right. I need you. I want to be, And then when I explain it to
Yeah.
her now,
Yeah.
yeah, because she didn't know this before properly. Because she said, "Why Carl's been doing this? The last couple of months, last year, or so." Because
Yeah.
she saw me doing that at my driving test when I failed it last year. She didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
but when I explained it to her after we had, and she realized that, okay, I probably need to accommodate you. I don't want to, I know it's hard, but I'm going to understand that now. If you need to go away, I'll leave you alone. And I know you're thinking about me. And that's what she realized it now. So, yeah.
It's great to have someone that side of you, um, who just gets it, totally gets it. It's like, right, you just need to leave them to it. And being in the house, being the man in the house, I think it's like an unconscious thing. You're now the man of the house. Even though you're your youngest in the house, but you feel like you need to look after everyone because that's
Yeah.
what, you know, um, stereotypically that's what the guys are for. He's there to, be the provider, be the carer, make sure everyone's okay, and make sure the women are taken care of.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
um, so how did you end up doing that? School, Carl, with your grades. So I know you're in a really good job now.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think during after leaving Mulgrave and going up to Honley High, that was,
Yeah,
I think, was a bit because that was another couple of miles away from, and it was near Holfirth as well. So everyone
yeah.
knows Holfirth because of the What's the Last of the Summer Wine. So my school's based not far
Oh,
from
is that?
Holfirth. Yeah.
Yeah, I know
So
you're on about.
I
Yeah,
was in
totally.
that area for quite a good 5 years, and I was in school for 5 years, and I did get school transport for most of the time until I think I stopped it after 14, 15, because I said, look, I'd rather get home on the train and then get the bus back home.
Yeah,
It made sense because I felt I was more strict on school transport when I was getting a little bit more older. And
yeah,
Honley High, they did have the provisions there, but I think that they're like it's the same scenario. I think a lot of people just didn't understand it. I think a lot of people didn't understand it
yeah,
the way. I think for what I do remember, it was taught. They were only telling about people about my autism to my class, my form class. They didn't tell it to anyone else like they have done now, where they have like the seen improves. Before they used to teach it to one class, which was always your form, what form you in, and I was like, no, it should be the whole spectrum, everyone across board. So and I had a good couple of years there. Yes, I had my issues as well. It did, and I think the last big issue incident I had, I actually pushed one of my teachers. She at the end of the table, and her head was cut. The back of her head was cut when she at the end of the table because there was no like the protection on the side where you can on the floor. So she hit there, and that was one thing I did regret because I was a prefect at school and I was trying to be punctual. And do you know what? When I was not being punctual, I was struggling of being there. And then I remember that day as well. She came across to me and she said she was mad at me. I'm like, look, why are you in my face? I didn't want her to be in my face because I didn't think I was going to do something like that by pushing her. She's very light. She was very small. She was small and she was light. And it was, her husband was across the room. And I thought to myself, thinking, what, she needs to back up because she doesn't know what's going to happen. Because I'm often not going to do something that I'm going to regret. And I do remember I just pushed her, and it went slow motion, and she at the end of the table, and like I said, head was cut. Yeah, and her husband, who was going to come at me, I'm like, no, I'm not having him coming near me. If he touches me, I will, and I'm going to do something. You're going to be on the ground as well too, and I don't want to do that. I pushed him back. Said, don't touch me. I said, don't touch me. And I thought I was expelled completely because of what I did. I was in my last year of school. I thought I was expelled because, and I remember being there for a few weeks. Everyone knew about it. Everyone knew what I did. And it was said to Carl, it was quiet without you because we know what you did. And I know it wasn't easy. And I think those meetings that we had with my family, my mom and my dad with the school, it was very awkward because I thought what I do remember said, they asked us, did the police come and speak to you? And we all looked at each other thinking, what, police? No police came. Are you telling me they were going to talk to you? What was going on? It was like, I thought she was going to press charges against me. That's what I thought it was going to happen, And we looked at, they looked at us like we were vultures. I'm like, we didn't know nothing about this. You didn't tell us about you were talking to the police. You didn't tell me this was like an incident that was going to require, because I thought this was going to be dealt altogether. But now that they actually, the police was involved briefly, they said, look, they didn't press charges, but they never came to me. I'm like, what? You were thinking about that from that because and don't get me wrong, I think because of my color, I think you're actually calling the police because I'm black and I'm aggressive. I couldn't believe that in my way, thinking, no, this should not happen to me like that. And that's why my parents were very angry about that meeting. And I couldn't understand. I was crying, but I think after that, the aftermath, I got to understand it a lot more growing up now. I'm like, why you do this to me? Why are you telling me why you did tell me at the time? You just it was just stupid. It was just angry. It was angry. I couldn't believe that they wanted to get the police involved. I was angry. So,
and the thing is, without being controversial, right? It's pretty common, well known. The police, the minute it's someone of that isn't white, right? They throw the book at them. It's been proven right across the world.
yeah.
That's why we're in, the Black Lives Matter movement is so big. I mean, I've not seen like anything like done like that, but I know it happens. I've heard it happening. Knowing you for the years I have, I know you've suffered it, and it's I say it's industrial. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's
Yeah.
it's built into the fabric of the society and places like police forces and that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, this is still an issue. More black people are more commonly going to be more excluded than a white British person. That is still an issue here in the UK, and it always has been. Mainly in England, it's always been an issue with that one. And I think, why is it not changed since I left school? And why is it not done? Why is not more done enough to keep us? well educated, because I am educated. It took me, yes, I wasn't like I'm not like a what used to be. Because I'm not more different. I'm not more. More not. I wouldn't say normal. I'm not more myself than I am actually. A
Oh,
bit more
oh,
communicative.
yeah. See, thing is, right. See, this thing of being normal. What is
Yeah, I
normal?
know. That's why I
Um,
always say to myself, nothing's normal. Everyone's different. Everyone's not always normal. So,
no,
but that was the label growing up with that. It's not make sense. So
yeah. Like it's like a stigma. Um,
it is,
all that. Because I remember when I was in school, I had like really bad temper tantrums, and I got like tested for everything, and they didn't want to label me as anything because they couldn't put on a scale it could be measured, and only
yeah,
about, I mean, it was only a couple of years ago, my doctor was like, I was off work, depression and that, and they were like, listen, I test you on like the spectrum and that, and I went, yeah, I went, I've wanted to be tested for years, and I think I've spoke to you and Douglas about it, and it turns out I'm not high on the spectrum, I'm on it though, because and it explains a lot about my younger years now. And like listen to yourself, I can sort of see patterns happening in myself.
yeah,
Um, and I've always been a big, you've seen it yourself, I'm a big guy who defends people like that. Like anyone goes, you, Andrew, Nick, Douglas, mate, I'm, they're going, they're like, I've got your back. Like I love you guys to bits.
yeah.
Um,
I really appreciate that because I didn't have a lot of that growing back in Huddersfield. That was pretty much a little bit issue. No one, and I think that's what few of my school friends have. No disrespect, and I love them to death as well. I don't think they did enough to realize, oh, we got your back out. I don't think there was enough of that, and I think that was the issue
do you
was as
think?
well growing up. And I think after leaving school, yeah, going into transition to college, that was a huge step because I don't have my school friends. It's like they're gone. They're not all of them go to the same college. They're all at other colleges in Huddersfield and more likely to be in uni within the next 2 years. And that became true
Yeah,
in a way. I'm not going to lie to you. I think when Kirklees College was very critical, and I think the IT department noticed, they wanted me. They said, "Carl, we don't think you couldn't do level 2." And I asked them why it couldn't. Oh, it's your GCSE English skills. I'm like, what
yeah,
is the issue with my GCSE English skills? Yeah, I didn't do well in that because I knew I was going to have that. That's why I did functional skills, but it still wouldn't let me fit the criteria. So I said no. So
yeah,
they had to put me to like a training provider, which I hated it so much. I'm like, this is what feels like a demotion. Like, what are you telling me? I can't even do wanted to go to uni and never that was my dreams and
yeah,
stuff to get my stuff and that part that much of that year after all the troubles I was going through after when my friend passed away from meningitis, my head was not in the right place. And I think, like I said, I need to be
yeah,
back at my college because this is what I can't be at training provider where they expect us to look for apprenticeship. I wasn't ready for it at the time, and I wanted to be back at
yeah,
Kirklees College, and I got myself, and I was still student governor. So I told them about my issue, and I said, okay,
yeah,
right, because they felt like I was treated harshly, and they knew I was treated harshly. So they said, okay, we'll speak to your department, and weirdly, the department backed down. Said, okay, Carl, we'll let you back in. And it was like a one chance salute because they knew they were going to be on my back. So I did have a target on my back, and I said, oh, we don't
yeah,
think Carl's going to get through level 2. And I said, he's probably, and I said, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I did prove them wrong. And I passed my level 2 and I got my level 3 as well. And they proved me wrong. And you know what? I was very well supported by the college because the college knew me inside. I was a student governor for a good 4 years. And then, but 2011, I became student union president for Kirklees College. And so I was
yeah,
representing 20,000 students across Huddersfield and Dewsbury. So to quite honest, I was the first person with autism to represent. So, and I did
yeah.
go
That's
for make a
amazing.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So I was representing the college on a national scale at national union students conferences, which was a huge thing because I did something I wanted to do to try, to make an impact, not just in Huddersfield, but the
did
whole,
you like?
the whole, yeah.
Anyway, did you use like the loss of your friend as like strength? Like, um, you know, as a coping mechanism as well to push yourself. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was learning a lot more since leaving school. I was learning how to with the coping mechanisms completely. And
yeah,
I think after the way I was treated at college for the first few years, that I felt like, I had no coping mechanisms at the time. I think when I went back there in 2010, the coping mechanisms were there. And I'm like, no, everything, if every time you try to knock me down, I got the mechanisms to come right back up. So, and I did have that weapon. And, I was very lucky to have the people, the student union staff support me because they wanted me back there. They wanted me to succeed. So, and being a
yeah,
student governor for the governing body was huge because they was very, very happy that because I was the youngest student governor in the UK altogether. I was only 16. So it
wow,
was young, and I was not allowed, to be honest, I was not supposed to be allowed to vote in decision making, but I was because our chair of the corporation was very open and said, look, no matter how young you are, you're able to vote. And he
yeah,
was very happy. He was
diversity.
happy with it. Yeah, it was. And do you know what? I remember my first governor's meeting, it was in Dewsbury Centre, so I had to get the train and stuff. And I was talking about, and I had my first questions, and then I thought, right. And it was, for example, I understand why they had to get rid of one of these subjects. It was a pre-GCSE and pre-A levels because it wasn't financially suited. But I actually explained why they should not get rid of it. And I said, and yeah, people voted for it in the end. It was gone. It was, went for it to vote. But the people said to me, at least we got someone like you who was going to challenge us. So it was right in the end that I did this. And then
Yeah,
becoming student union president as well, that was huge for me. And I think I needed that as well. And I thought it was going to be a good year because I thought, you know what, if I can get to do my finish my level 3 within the next 2 years, I should be done and dusted. And then tragedy struck completely because my mum, you know, she did something stupid while she was on there with her ex partner a long time ago. You know, we deal with classic, having, coming back, trying to go back in the airport and bring illegal drugs back in the UK. And she knew it was wrong. And she turned herself in, and it was in Antigua. So I didn't even see her for a year. And it's a huge strain, not for me, but for me and my
I didn't know
sisters,
that, man.
because,
That's horrible.
yeah, it was
Like,
a huge strain.
never,
And we
never
don't talk.
mind. Like, never mind what she done. You've lost. You don't. You don't live with your dad. You're with your mum. You've actually lost your primary caregiver. Doesn't matter what age you are. That
Yeah,
thing of
yeah,
losing that is huge.
yeah, I
And
know. And losing my granddad as well. He died on the spectrum of diabetes because he got a reaction because he's not supposed to eat meat. So it was and he got a reaction and unfortunately he died. So it was a tough year,
yeah,
as well as my Keisha being pregnant with Amara, who's my first niece. That was tough for
yeah,
all of us. We all were dealing with it. Yes, we had to deal with the authorities as well to make sure how we're going to get mum home. It was all that stuff. No one didn't know about my mum until the local newspaper got the story. They got the story from Antigua because it was done a few months ago, and we tried to keep it to a minimum. It was hard because I was vulnerable. I didn't know what to do when people knocked on my door. I was scared, so I didn't open it with the reporter. And I think my college was looking out for me and said, "Well, Carl, we're going to speak to exam now. They're going to tell us what they're going to say, and it's supposed to be a small story, a small printed story." Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Few days later, it came out like that. They didn't show no picture of my mum or nothing like that, but they got so much
But they needed
information
it.
wrong about her. Complete, yeah, it's so much information about my mum completely, and I was angry about that. And the college protected me because as being a student president and student governor, the principal Peter McCann, who came in because I was one of the appointed committees on the student side, and he
Yeah,
looked out for me quite well, and so did the college altogether. They looked out for me, to Cal, whatever you need, we'll support you. I know we got your
that's
burst rate if you
brilliant.
need more. Yeah, and they supported me, and that was huge for me to keep myself going. And then my dad found out by someone as well. There were people just spreading rumors, and they were doing it behind me and my sister's back. It was it was disrespectful because you should not have done that
Yeah,
because mom turned herself in. The way it happened, right? The way it happened, it was an ex just took the money that we were supposed to help my mum to try to help mum with the bail stuff. He ran with the money and went back to Jamaica. And we're not seeing him since. And I remember he's only been in England probably once before mum got deported back. And to be quite honest with you, it was disgusting. I have to admit, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think there was a bit of an issue with that. Look, I just say we don't talk. Me and my family don't talk as much because we know it's all we're done with. But do you know what? I always try to make sure. Yeah, I keep things to myself where I can. But when it's something like this, I'm not gonna be like said. But this really was tough for me. That it affected me, but really badly mentally as well. So I just didn't know how to deal with that. And but I'm glad the college stuck by me and make sure I got through with it. And they were always asking, "Is your mum okay? Is she fine?" I said, "Yeah," And because you know what, as I said, we did the counselor over there was very supportive to try to get my mum home as soon as possible. So my mum did a super thing, and she's learned from her mistakes, and you know what, I still love her mum. She's still a good mum. Yeah, she's still a good mom. It was just someone.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. I said to her, I don't want that to happen again because I don't want that person in the house again because that's the way. I'm not gonna have someone treat my mum like that and put in a situation that I'm putting us all in a situation trying to get my mum home. So, I was glad that she got home just the weekend when the Olympics start, the Lunar 2012 Olympics start. Yeah, 2012. She got back home after 2 days of the open ceremony. And a lot of people were very surprised because we went to a christening late that day. And I think they were still talking about my mum behind my back because they saw me and my sisters come through first with my niece. And then when mum come through, it was a stunned silence. No one could believe that my mum just come on and said, "Yeah, my mum just got back home today." So, and she's like,
and she's still at the Christmas.
Yeah, she went to a christening. Yeah, and and people said, we said in our own Jamaica terms, playtime's over. We're not messing about no more. Don't whatever you have to say, don't say it now because you already said what you have to say. So everyone shut up and they realized, and they all learned the whole truth on mum's side. They just heard it from the newspaper, which I just, they got the whole truth what my mum's told them. And
the song. I always tell people, listen to the season papers. Unless you've heard it from the horse's mouth, it's nonsense. I mean, there is good reporters out there. There is good reporters out there. Clearly, these reporters who reported what had happened with your mum sold her up the river.
Yeah, I know. And without even telling us like a few days before, like 2 days before the article came out, that's how it happened. And I remember it quite well. And we kept that newspaper from mum. And she laughed off thinking how much information they got so wrong. Because you know what? They got so much information wrong. One, they said she was born in Jamaica. No, she was born in Nottingham. Two, there was I think she said there was kids growing up. So no, there was only me living with my mum at the time. My sisters were living they're separately. So I don't, you know what, they got so much information wrong because you know what, they got it from someone else, and then that's how it all blew up. And then that's how my dad found out. And I think even the council found out because someone snitched on my mum. And it was the next door neighbor. There was a neighbor across the street who had cancer, and she was like, you know what? She was in arrears and debt. That's what I remember, and in legal electricity as well. And I remember she was trying to get something like a financial gain. Yeah, so she reported it to the council, and the council messaged, sent him a letter to me personally. Say, we know about your mom in prison. We need to speak to you. I said, no, I'm not going to deal with this because my granddad's died. My granddad's died. I'm going to Jamaica. I'm not going to do this. So my sisters had to do it because I don't know how I was going to deal with that. So
it was not for me.
Yeah, I was still a kid at the point. Yeah, I was only 19 when that happened. So to quite honestly, I was still a bit of a kid in my eyes. And you know what? Growing up now, I would have think things I would have done a little bit better if things like that happened again. But you know what? It's all we're done with. And yeah, and like I said, my dad and I, we were not on speaking terms that time as well. And and we tried to resolve it, and we found out my dad got married, not even telling me up here in Gretna Green. He didn't tell me about it, and then a week later, he announced that he was moving to Canada with my little brother and sister. I'm like, what? This is all happening quickly. I was like, you didn't, you couldn't tell me. Yeah, and I was a bit angry with him. He understands why, because, like I said, I wasn't the only one who was angry. I think Pat's dad his wife's dad was angry as well because he wanted to give his daughter away, and he was sad because we know because her dad knows my mom. Her dad knows my mom quite well.
Yeah.
So quite well, and yeah, we were both the angry people. It was like, listen, Keith, listen, I understand because I feel the same way, and I think my dad should have told me, I said, look, I want to get married. I understand you're not on good terms. I understand if you're not happy with Pat. I understand that, but please respect me. I would have understood that quite well. But I only got text messages when I just come back from a student governor conference in London, and that's all went off. Everything blew up. I'm like, how can that happen? How does it all happen so fast? Dad getting married, and and then him got beat. Moving to Canada. It was always happened to me so fast, and it was hard for me to deal with that when my mom was still in prison. So to be quite honest with you, yeah, it was. Dad understands that.
Happened
Dad
in trees,
understands
isn't
it.
it?
Yeah, it is. And my dad understands that he could have done things differently. He could
Yeah,
have done things differently. But look, I think because he's still keeping me in his life, that was a huge said, Dad, don't cut me out of your life because I'm always, I'm your oldest. I know you got two siblings, two new kids of your own, but don't always forget that, and he realized it as well. So we had to resolve it before moving to Canada because, it could have ended, we didn't want to end it like that. I think it was unfair. So Dad, yeah, he knew I was mad at him. He knew I was mad at him for
yeah,
quite a bit. And, but my dad has always looked out for me. No matter what, we've had that issues. He's always looked out for me. And I still speak with him on a regular basis, every weekend when I can, So we do have video chats.
yeah,
We'll talk about
definitely.
Leeds and all that stuff. I always ask about how my brother sister are doing, and how he asks about how mum and my sisters are doing. So yeah, we do have a chat every
No,
time.
that's
So
great.
it's
See, when all this
huge.
was going on, Carl, did you, was your dad, your dad did get married, was he there? Was he still there for you with everything going on, or was he just guessing he was right there for you as well?
Do you know what? He's been a tremendous father. Everything, I don't think he would never say no to me for anything, and he knows that. And I think I've had to learn how he was brought up, and I like, for example, him when I'm he's always wanted to be a bit more innovative or think of new ideas or try to look after myself and so forth. So he's always been like, right, this is what we have to do, Carl. And I think he came up to Edinburgh a few years ago. And it was during Father's Day. We had a little argument, and then I thought to myself, I can't end it like that. Getting him, he walked to the train station from Leith to the train station to Waverley. I thought, no, I need to get a
Oh,
taxi. I need to go in. I need to go in and say goodbye to him properly. And I did. I
yeah,
cried.
of
I
course.
loved him. And I told him I loved him. And I think him and my mum get a lot more better than they did now. Years ago, they're getting a lot more better because
Yeah,
after my grandma passed away, and that was a big part of me. I lost my grandma, and it was very sad. And
mhm,
my dad was the last person to move out before she sold the house and retired back to Jamaica. He was the last person to
yeah,
leave out the house. So for him, losing both of his parents within 2 years, and we lose my grandparents in 2 years, it was hard. It was
yeah,
hard for both of us. So, and he's always told me, Carl, I'm not perfect as well, and it's hard. I still think about grandma, and we both understand that because we realize that we are two human beings. I
yeah.
thought my dad just was not that emotional person. He's not in most ways, but when I see him emotional, he's genuine. He's not.
Is he old
And I was
school?
half him. Yeah, it was hard for him when he came back. When he came back to the UK after Grandma died here, and it was hard for him. I mean, he didn't get to say goodbye. It was hard, properly, because I did. I came back home
I
the
don't
day
know
before
that
she
process.
passed. Yeah, and Dad didn't. Dad was still flying from Calgary, so he was coming back from Heathrow to fly up to Manchester. So it was hard for him as well. So we both understand. It was hard for both of us because we would, probably most of the people that grow up. Because, like I said, Grandma is buried here in the UK. Granddad's buried back in not far from where they grew up in Jamaica,
Yeah,
near Downs in Manchester. So yeah, it's hard. They're not separate, not together. Otherwise, but I
yeah.
know they're together at the moment because I think Grandma was only 71 when she had cancer again, and
Wow, that's
this was more terminal. Yeah, it was more terminal, and I just that was just the first year I moved up to Edinburgh. So yeah.
yeah. Um, that's what you just mentioned there, moving up to Edinburgh. How did all that come about? Moving up
So
after
I
everything.
was, yeah, I was going through my last year at college in Huddersfield at Kirkland's College. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was looking at universities. I just did. I didn't want anything close by because I just wanted to try to be more independent. So I was looking at places such colleges down in Bolton, the University of Bolton, and in Leicester, in the Midlands as well, at Leicester, De Montfort University.
Oh
They
yeah,
were good. Yeah, they were good, but I just felt I was still nearly can get like a train home, and I felt like my mum. I think I had to grow up, and my mum, just come out of prison. She did. I didn't think she wanted me to move out. I think she wanted me to stay close by. I think it was either somewhere in Yorkshire, to go to a uni, but they were not suitable
yeah.
for me, and I think I needed something different. Yeah, and then the two option is thought Wales was going to be a better option. When I looked at it, I thought, no, look at Edinburgh, and chose Napier, and Napier University probably had the credentials that I needed for my UCAS point. So I decided, yeah, let me try. I'm going to see how it goes at Edinburgh. I know it's really big on the computing side of things because it has the industry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and I tried that, and I see how it goes. But the personal, like my grandma passed away, that was a huge time. The first month when I just started, and and then I had a tough few months with my flatmates as well. So it was a bit of
Yeah,
awkwardness
the
as well
normal.
because yeah. I think because it was moving with new people, and there was 8 of us in a flat.
Oh
It was a
God.
newly built flat down at Fountain Bridge, and there was
Oh, I know
issues
where you
going
are.
on.
Yeah, yeah, I know where you
Bayfield,
are.
yeah.
So
So there was
is that
issues
the
with
flat street next to?
the Uni Canal. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and it's
Yeah, I know
opposite
exactly
Fountain
where you are.
Park as
One of
well.
my friends,
Yeah.
used to live
So
in the one next to there. Yeah,
yeah, so that was really interesting because it was tough for me because the flats were like two weeks behind, and they'll still do maintenance
yeah,
building every so often in and out the building, including our rooms as well. It was so bad, the tower rack broke. It wasn't even. It was supposed to be. It's just so much issues that water issues, blackout issues, fire alarm issues as well. There were people half naked when the fire alarm set off. People didn't even have no clothing on. It was so awkward. It was really awkward, and I had some
city life
issues
on
with
it.
some and I had some issues with some girls who just intimidated me. I think they were playing about with me. There were 2 girls doing the same course and lived in the same accommodation. They were playing about with me. And they were messing with my mind. I'm like, why are you playing about with me and then
Oh no.
blocking me? And yeah, and do you know what? The housing staff didn't do nothing, not anything about it. They always annoyed. Every time I used to come home from my campus, they used to come out the window, looking at the windows, looking at me, thinking, "Why are you looking at me? I'm some sort of some like an idiot. I'm not stupid. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to intimidate. You're trying to make me set myself off. And to be quite honest with you, I was not in the right place at the time. I was going through a lot of stuff. And losing grandma was hard because it was a tough one because I didn't know how I was going to cope with that one. And
Yeah,
then I had issues with my flatmates. Geez, I think there was one of them that during the freshers, we did hang out a bit, but she just was like separated from us, and I got annoyed. I remember sending a threatening message like right now. A lot of people couldn't believe what I did, and I was stressed out because everything was just going through. It was a huge mess for me what I was going through. And I remember that that year, 2013, they were still here in
that was a
accommodation.
mental year.
I
That
went,
was a
I
mental year.
left. So what happened was before Christmas, I left quietly so I can get like the bypass cemetery back home. So I did that. So I said, you know what? I'm
Yeah,
gonna go home quietly. They think I'm gonna be there. So I just sneaked out and said, no, I'm going home. So I just got my
yeah,
suitcase, packed my stuff, got the train home. I just needed to go back home, refresh my mind because everything was tough. And I remember my mum was in the process of moving house because she had to downsize because I wasn't there anymore. So she had to downsize. And I remember me sleeping on the sofa and my grandma was talking to me and she said, Carl, what is going on with you? And it was like my grandma was like, it was her, she knew it was who I am, but she was her younger self. And I was trying to express it, no, you shut up. Let me just say this to you. I'm not happy with how things have been, how people are using you like that. And you're letting them. And I remember the three words she said, I need you to wake up. I said, wake up. I'm not asking you to, I'm telling you. And I remember waking up. I was like, whoa, did I just have that dream of a grandma telling me something? Get yourself together. And it was a huge was. I did think that would happen. And I think, I
yeah,
said this is most mom. I had the dreams of Carl. I had the same dream about grandma too, about your grandma too. We were just having a chat and your dad just come along and we just having a good chat. Everyone was happy and all that stuff. I said, wow. So I said, it wasn't just me. Majority of us were having dreams about our grandma, and it was like
yeah,
weird. It was really weird, but I think we used to it now. So
yeah,
yeah. And then university was just tough for me. The first year, I only barely passed it. I just barely just passed it, and then second year that was a lot more tougher. And then it just one thing led to another. I was really struggling, with the support workers I had. They weren't like knowledgeable enough. I needed, and then I think I remember I failed my second year, and I was told by the university I could resit it full time second year until the last 2 weeks. They tell me, so, oh, sorry, we can't let you reset your second year. So I was not even a student no more. And I'm saying, you let one of my friends who was you let one of my friends who was a Scottish student.
I know people that have reset years at uni.
Yeah, I know. But I said to myself, you're letting my Scottish friend who's got autism select to say his second year full time, but you're not letting me. And I remember that meeting. That meeting did not go well. It was myself, Charlotte Dudley, who used to be part of Autism Initiative, with Jenny, who was the disability officer at Napier, and we couldn't believe that was happening. I just stormed out. I was in frustration. I couldn't believe it, and all my uni friends were angry as well. They couldn't believe that I was not going to be sitting there, and I had to go through appeal to get that overturned. Unfortunately, I got it overturned, but I had to go back as a part-time student, and I still had one or two tutors who were a bit. Don't ask me why. I think the university just couldn't deal with it. I think like if he fails it again, we can't do it. So they just actually go part-time, and for their reasons, I don't know why it happened. And yeah, I wasn't really happy at doing part-time. I had no student income, no income at all. It was only my disability and living allowance. I had no other income such as my student loans. It was all gone because part-time students in England don't get that. It's only the tuition fee. Yeah, it's the tuition fee loan. That's all we get. I was very much angry about that. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't really happy with at Napier. And then I probably met someone a little bit too soon. And then it was a bit of a disaster because that relationship only was 3 months. And then she told me after I stayed at hers down in the Boulders, saying, look, I'm not happy with myself. She said this, I'm not happy with myself and all that stuff. And I was angry. And then that's when I said to myself, no, I'm tired of this. I just said, I'm going to quit. I'm going to leave Napier. I'm done with it. I'm not going to be doing up to 7 years of my life getting a degree. It's not viable. It's not financially worth it. So that's what led me on to realize I needed to find something to try to get me where I want to be. And I think joining Sam Radio when it just started 2 months after I just quit. And that was a huge thing to me to get somewhere, to try to start something. And then that's why I got a yeah.
How did Sam Radio come about?
Well, Sam Radio came about. So there was when Paul Ross was just put a page up on one of the Autism in Scotland. He just telling everyone that he's doing something with the Ross for him and his parents and the family all together was split something up. So they launched in March 2016, and I was just going. That's where my first relationship was going it was a bit of a downer, and I just said, and everything was going. So I just decided it was probably to quit all together and try to just do something of volunteering side of things for the time being, and then had my own show. Talking about football every hour. It was good for me to get my confidence back because I felt like I lost my voice. I felt I lost myself actually altogether, and I think that was one of the things that was the turning tide of things. And then, got to be on the benefit on the job seekers allowance for a time being until I got a job at Tesco for a year as a part-time. I was on the produce team with the fruit and veg. Then a couple of months later, because I was getting short out, so I was only doing 9 hours, I moved on to the checkouts for the second more hours. So because I needed to look after myself, I was in debt. So I was in debt at the time, so I needed to try and increase my, my income because I couldn't just I couldn't live like that. Because I was living in Leith at the time, I moved into Leith around the time, so I was working down at the local.
That expensive flat in Leith you were in?
Yeah, the one bedroom I had. It had issues. It was off Easter Road. It was on Long Street, and and I had one or two bad neighbors. They had issues that they were really bad, and the first shoot, and then it just
is it the old build?
Yeah,
the old build off Easter Road. Funnily enough, those houses. See if you come out like the West Stand, you've got the shop sort of on the corner and all that.
Yeah.
That's where my mum's first flat with me was, funnily enough,
Wow.
right across
Okay.
the stadium.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know where you are. Yeah. So pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So living in Leeds for those few years after moving out the first year uni, I decided to didn't want to share with people. So I just lived by myself for quite a long time. And then, I think after being a year with Tesco, I thought I was happy there. I don't think I would need to go anywhere else. I was, was comfortable going back to uni, doing open uni as a part-time basis because the Tesco
yeah,
had the Usdaw, which would had funding for it. So I thought about it until there was an incident that was blown out of proportion because of me being black. I had an incident when I was just having a joke with one of the checkout assistants on the self checkout because she always wanted the headphones. I was like joking, I don't give her the headphones, and she just was in a rage. She was angry at me. I'm like, what? I was having a joke. She felt like it was
yeah,
harassment. I'm like, I didn't do nothing wrong, and Redpoy was a bit weird, skeptical. I said, what was going on there? I said, yeah, this is how it is. And then in that meeting by myself, I was on my own. She was laughing. I said, why are you laughing? Why are you snickering? And it was 2 against 1. And I felt like the HR manager was on her side and my side, not being fair.
yeah,
It was, it was awkward for me. I'm like, no, I'm not happy. And I think I was going to take legal action until one of my colleagues, who was a black colleague, said, don't do it. It's going to frustrate us. I don't get it. But she told me, said, no, don't do it. I'm like, this is like this cult in this store. Like, why we be taught to like that? And we have to accept that. I'm not like that. I don't
exactly.
accept things like that. And do you know what? I
Yeah,
think Rempart got that email. When Rempart sent the email to the HR manager, what they got back, it was like disgust to say, yeah, Carl, you need to leave that. You need to leave Tesco altogether. So yeah, I know. So after the year I didn't get that apprenticeship before that, I didn't know what was going to happen because in England they have the adult apprenticeships. I know in
yeah,
Scotland they don't have that. So for me,
yeah,
I didn't know what was good to do until I found out there was funding going on for disabled people up to 29. So I asked QA,
yeah,
it's a QA, and weirdly, they will meet with Skills, I think Skills Scotland completely the next day because I actually spoke to someone from Skills Development Scotland, and I said to him,
yeah,
I know you lot meet the next day. I need to get that funding because I want it. I want to do something with my life now. It's apprenticeship of bust or go home more like. And I said, no,
yeah,
I need to do this apprenticeship. I need to be back in IT. And it was probably the right move to get that. And went for the recruitment day and I went for the interview. All went well. And I thought to myself, I don't worry if I don't get it. I have to be stuck with Tesco for a little while. And I remember that phone call. I thought, oh, okay, right. Calling back. And they said, oh, look, I understand, but if I not get it, I understand. But thank you for your time. Because I was applying for apprenticeships at the time. And they said, no, Carl, you actually got it. I said, what? Really? He said, yeah. They really like you. They feel like you got something in you. So thank you so much. I remember 2 days after that, I wrote my resignation letter saying, look, I am quitting on December the 10th of 2017. I am done with this place. I'm not going to come back here. And I actually just moved, and that's when I just moved houses up here where I am now in Pelton, where I am, the newly built way, the
yeah.
link,
Then they come from my boss.
the St. Park football stadium. Yeah. So I'm on here now, and I think
Beautiful
I'm a
place.
lot more happy. Yeah, a lot more happier. I think that was a turning point when I had to move. It was a start of something, and I needed to do something about it because I was just tired. I was just tired of the way things were going. I said, no, I need a
Yeah,
reset. So
no, that's brilliant. And the job you got, you've still got, haven't you? The same
yeah, I
company.
have still, yeah, I've just 3 years. I've been with Computer Straight now. So that first year was on an apprentice operations analyst, and then became permanent 2 years ago. And it's been gone from strength to strength. The whole company have been very supportive, and it was tough to start with because my team leader, who's not here now, Rachel, she's now left the company, and
Yeah,
she was taking time to understand me, and we realized that yes, she was stubborn as well, but I was stubborn as well in a way, and I think we did need to be
yeah,
on a we need to sit down and talk and look. Yes, I did pass my first probation, but I'm struggling. I think I was a bit of a downer now because I thought to myself, if I'm not passed, I'm not gone. I'm gone. I'm like,
yeah,
I told the whole company, I said, no, we need support Carl. We need him to stay. He's really tough. We just need to put the right support stuff for him, such as he needs his softwares and all that stuff. They need that. And he
yeah.
needs like a different type of documents. And they realized it. So that was a huge turning point that summer in 2018.
Yeah,
Because,
that was around
yeah,
about. I think that was around about the time we first met. I think that was
yeah, it was actually.
was
Yeah.
it around about when I came on Sam Radio.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were still down at St. Margaret's house. Yeah, that was the
yeah,
first time we did.
down because me and Douglas walked down. Douglas met me in town, and I think I had like an hour and a half to kill, and I was like, "You want to just walk?" Because we were at the bus station. I was homeless at the time, go for homeless at the time,
Yeah, I remember it quite well.
and I remember you saying, "You busy tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Nah," like because I'd reduced my hours at work, and I was like, "Come down, come on, come and do something. This will be fun." And just started, the last 2, 3 years have just been it's been brilliant coming on and that. Meeting yourself, knew Douglas for years. Um, Brilliant. I mean, they're amazing people. On that
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
unbelievable people. Massive shout out
Yeah,
to them for you know
yeah, exactly. What I will say as well, because you know what, when I first met Douglas back in 2014, he knew my flatmate Katie, and Katie, I still me and him stuff in touch with
Katie.
Katie, and Katie Moore. So because we
All right,
knew
not the Katie
she.
Anna. Anna.
No,
I
no,
thought
don't
you
worry,
meant
it's fine.
Katie Henry.
Yeah, no, so because Douglas worked with Katie at Tesco's, so and she that
Ah,
her
right.
first few years, yeah, so that's how they then two know each other, and then she realized, oh, you Douglas know each other. I said, yeah, we play football, used to play five-side football, and we still hang out, go play snooker, and and then she realized that. So us three have a very good friendship with that because we know that we connect because, like I said, Katie only worked there for a few years until she graduated from Napier with her law degree. So you know what? It's a use that we all three of us know each other better now. So I think
Yeah,
Katie is more sympathetic to me now after we before when the first unit she was a bit against me, and then she realized, well, no, Carl's a decent person. He's just I can understand him, and I think how she worked with Douglas, I think that helped her in a way. So
yeah,
with that
with
one,
yourself.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's good that knowing Douglas for the last couple of years, it helped me. And I thought to myself when I started the radio show by myself, he was on a guest. He came as a guest every few times, and I thought that first ended the first few months. I said, "Do you want to be a permanent presenter along with me?" He said, "Yeah." And we've been going from strength to strength, and then we got Nick on as well 2 years ago. So and then we've since we've all of us have grown and we've all been doing it. You played a huge part
Yeah.
as well as Andrew Walker and Connor from the Cop Council as well. Ian
Oh, he's a good
Wilkerson,
man.
yeah.
Ian,
So
the Burnley film. Oh,
yeah,
thought he was class when we were on. What was it? The
then a
Staff
year
Champion show
special.
we done.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's huge, and that's why I think
Brilliant.
the radio needed to go from strength to strength. I think with Douglas now got his own YouTube channel. I think because he's come on the station, I think that's what's grown him. So
Yeah,
I
100%.
do, yeah, I do play a huge part of growing their potentials. I don't see that in my own eyes, but I realize it now. I think I have made them, a bit more better for them
No,
in the long run. Because
you have, man.
yeah, I think I just teach them more about life than just being on the radio. I teach them more about life itself, So it's what my mum's taught me, and I think that's why I'm really, really done well. I'm really happy what I'm doing at the moment. Still got the radio station, the radio show, and then I think Computer Share been very supportive of me. And they said, you know what, Carl, we understand that you need to be back on a full-time basis because they knew I had to sacrifice one Wednesday a month because I was doing my radio show on a Wednesday and I was working on one of the Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I said, okay, and I think with the Ross family coming to me said, do you want to move yours to a Friday and we do 2 hours? And my workplace said, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we do want you to do your thing. What you can do, don't worry, you can take 2 hours on your break, 2 hours lunch break on a Friday off, and then just take an hour off, and I said, that's fine. I'm happy with that because, they're being very
yeah,
supportive. But
100%.
I think the show has grown over the last 4 or 5 years because my influential have come into the Sound Radio, and to quite honestly, it's been a huge transformation of my life. And then during that time meeting Helen, that was the biggest huge thing, the confidence. And I think, I knew from the first date we had, I said, yeah, I'm probably gonna be with
She's the one.
her for, yeah, she was the one, and you know
You
what,
knew like
it was
that.
a good thing. Yeah, I knew it, and
It's a
do you
bit
know
like
what, she, yeah,
a bit like don't know if you've heard of it, like the law of attraction. If you've ever read anything about that, it's like totally that. You just know someone's really
I did
special.
get that. I got that from the first date we had. I did, and I took her to the to the night at the museum because it was the Festival of Fringe. So I took her to the night at the museum, and we loved it as
Yeah,
well. So
I remember you saying. I
yeah,
remember it on Facebook and that, and thinking, "On you go, keep going. This is just part of your journey. It's just the trajectory you're going on, and then
yeah,
to
it
move in."
was. Yeah, it was. It was just I needed that stability because I was in a place like Lucia. I needed stability. I was in the right place because I'm like I want stability now. Where I am, I don't want to be unstable for every time not happy with jobs. And I felt like I needed that. And I think she's played a huge part, Helen, with that one. And I think her moving in 2 years ago has been huge for me. Yeah, it was tough to start with, but you
Yeah,
know what? I'm glad I have her here because if we were struggling this lockdown, I probably won't see as much as she'll be at our parents. But I'm really glad I have Helen, really have. And, she's glad that she has me as well because, like I said, we all
he's
we
just
all have
perfect.
our
He's just
issues.
perfect, you know. He's
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
no, it's I remember, I remember coming on Sam Radio and we're talking about, you were having a bit of a struggle at work and you wanting, more support. And then the next time I came on, I think we may have went for coffee or something, us three. And I was like, have you finally got that support, And you've just kept going, you've kept, everything's kept going, and lockdowns came, you've worked from home, you've worked through, the struggles of it. You've been pretty
Yeah.
open about, it has been a
Yeah.
struggle for yourself working from home, and you know, not having that routine of being, out the house, and having your you've got PT, haven't you?
Yeah.
Having all that and you just adapted. And I think we've all had rough times during the last sort of 12 months during this lockdown. And I think if I
Yeah.
hadn't come on Sam Radio a couple of years ago, I think that planted a seed in my head for a podcast. And then we started doing every week through Anchor. And I kept saying, I'm
Absolutely.
going to start something, I'm going to start something. And then it was just before New Year, and I was like, no, this is happening. I think I've got you and Douglas to thank for that. I didn't give you a shout out in my last podcast. I mentioned it. I've got to apologise for that. For being on the show and doing what we were talking about and everything and talking about our passions. Um, I wouldn't be having this conversation and doing this podcast now.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Oh, absolutely. I think as well, deep down, I think I've always been like that. I get that from my mom. I think my mom's always been that positive person. She's always been positive from day one, and no matter what brings her down, she will always get through it. And that's always been my mom. I think I get that from her quite a lot, and and I
Yeah,
think people who have influenced a lot have really done well for themselves. I think mum was like that as well too. So you know what? I think it is. I think it's a Edward's thing more like in our family, and I think we just done quite well. Always get through the tough times, and yeah. And you know what? Being an uncle free as well now, and having two nieces and a nephew, it's been huge for me because I think I needed that stability because both my sisters want to be mothers, and I think Mara is going to be 10 this year, and Araya is now at school, her first year at school. Unfortunately, she's homeschooling. And Zikari, who's going to be going to school for this year in September. So it's huge for me because I'm the older uncle that they see a lot. So for them, I'm always going to be home for them when I need to. Because and even though I passed my driving test last year as well, that was huge for me because that was a huge
yeah.
thing I needed to get off my back completely. It was a huge
It was
thing
like
I
a
needed to
monkey
get
on
off
your
my back.
back, wasn't it? You were. I
It
remember you
was for
being
quite a
really.
while. Yeah, it
I
was for
remember
a
you being
while.
gutted. I remember just saying, "Listen,
Oh,
doesn't matter," and you were like, "No, it doesn't." I was just like, "Carl, when you chill out about it, go back and do it,
yeah,
and you'll ace it." But it's just the way you've got to handle the. You've already handled like not failure in your life, but adversity in your life, things kicking against you, um, continue through your, and I'm no doubt there'll be times again in the future where you know you got to give adversity the middle finger.
yeah,
Um,
it's true.
and I just think the reason I started this podcast is to try and show people that people from all walks of life, diversity in the face, and it's, you know, we're all we're all going on to better, not better things, but we've
Yeah.
kept everything going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be quite honest with you, I think when I did pass my first drive test, I was angry, and I remember I had to go back home for a funeral because sadly my play skiing
Yeah, I remember.
volunteer passed away, and I remember going back home, and I have to thank you for that part where you said to me, you just told me don't worry about it, because Keisha, my sister Keisha, did the same thing. She said, Carl, stop with that. Listen here. And this is Keisha. This is her, the older sister, that no nonsense. Carl, it took me 5 attempts to pass my driving test. I said, what, really? Said,
Yeah,
yes. Carl, I still don't know how to power it back properly. I said, what? I was like, yeah, hold on a second. You passed the 6th time? And they're like, oh, they were supposed to fail. I said, yeah, but they passed me in the end. All right, fine. So that was like, okay, stop with this sadness, Carl. Get back up after you come up through, get a different frame of mind. You are going to pass it. And I think I think I needed that motivation, not just from you, but from
yeah,
Keisha. So Keisha's my motivation, because like, I have a weird thing with my family when if I need someone to talk through software, it's my mom. And if I need someone in the middle, it's my sister Tanika, my older sister.
yeah.
And then if I need something that's no nonsense, it's my older sister Keisha. Keisha's that. And
Just gives you a kick
that's
up
why
the.
that's why I was named after her dad, because she lost her dad quite young. So for that, I think she
Yeah,
needs someone to just like, yeah, right, Carl, I'm not tired of this. And she would have done the same thing to her dad if her dad was still alive, to quite honest with you. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I get it. Right. After all that, Carl. Right. I think it'd be rude not to talk about your other unlimited sports, and I think it'd be rude not to talk about your beloved Leeds United.
yes, absolutely, can't go without that.
And no, and a bit like yourself, they've been on a roller coaster. If you think about it, what was it? What was the year you got relegated? 2006,
Oh yeah,
4,
2004.
4.
Yeah,
Was it from the Premiership? 2000. Yeah,
yep, for the
2004.
Premiership.
I
Yeah,
was. I remember. You know how I remember that? You'll hate me for this. Smithy signing for United.
that's the one. That's the one I still hate to this day. And I remember he was
The only
saying,
thing is,
"Look,
right, that transfer, right, we could have gave you next to nothing. I think we'd still gave 6, 7 million. Was it
yeah, I
six,
know,
7 million for him? I think we've done well by the club. I know he's made some promises about not leaving, but I think financially it couldn't be stopped. But what's it been like supporting that mad block? Because even as a United fan, I look at Helen and think, oh, I'd love to go there for an away day. That's you
oh,
know,
oh, I can't say nothing about. I'm in awe about every time when I go to Ellen Road. I feel like I'm at home. To quite honestly, yeah,
yeah,
when I go there. To be quite honest, yeah, for me, yeah, growing up with being a Leeds fan from a young age, it was in that family. It was in my dad's side of the family blood. It was my granddad was a Leeds fan, my uncle's a Leeds
yeah,
fan, my other uncle's a Manchester United fan, and so we'll talk about it more later. But my dad, yeah, but my dad is a my dad. Yeah, I know, but my dad's been a Leeds fan. But my dad did play junior football, and he had the opportunity to go pro one time, and he never did that in the
yeah,
end. So because Dean High School had a very good system of getting the local
yeah,
talent to Huddersfield Town. They had a very good system. So
yeah,
he won. He got trial, but he didn't go with it in the end. And my grandma used to
yeah,
live behind the old Leeds United ground when before it got turned to retail park. So the ground was behind my grandma's house actually. So yeah, and I did go to a few Huddersfield Town games because most of my family did support Huddersfield Town, including my
yeah.
auntie. So but I was Leeds through and through, and I think it took me years to get to the Leeds game because I didn't go to the games when they were in the Premier League, so it was quite a long time. I think we only went to
Yeah,
it when we got into league when the club got relegated into League One. So that's when we did go
yeah.
to some
I
games.
remember that.
And me and Dad went to some games. We watched some Huddersfield when they played Huddersfield a few times, and then
Who'd
I
you
started to
like?
go bit by myself. Oh,
Who's your
yeah,
club?
well, do you know what the one thing
Sorry.
is? I remember, yeah, right, you know.
Um, who's the players you enjoyed watching? Um,
Oh, I think growing up at the time, it was at least like it was Viduka, Ferdinand.
he was a player, man. The Duke was a player.
Oh yeah, He was a player, Viduka, absolute player. And I had a shirt, I had a printed name shirt when he used to play for Leeds. I really did actually. 39 was one of them.
Do you know
I think
something,
Ian
right?
Hart got, yeah.
I think even at 30 million being a record fee, I still think we'd be a bargain.
I think you have.
I
I
still
think
think
you're
we
doing
got
the
a
way.
bargain.
I
At
know.
30 million, I still thought it was a bargain because he was just an absolute Rolls Royce. You knew, didn't you? You knew he was such a good player.
Oh yeah, we knew when he was coming from West Ham, he was going to be such a good player, and especially when the club was in financial, I thought I kind of knew he was going to go with the first one, and I think for him going for 30 million, I thought to myself, Leeds did get a profit, but you know what? But I think it is a bargain for majority. What you're saying, it is a good point. I think he did help his career, but winning he's won what Champions League with you guys, won Premier League titles, what
I
4 or
mean,
5.
the thing is, first first season he was full at United, we won the league. So I
Yeah,
think that says everything. And the year before we were sort of like 12 points behind Arsenal. So I mean that's literally the peak of me growing up at United. You know, Beckham, Keane, Scholes, Giggs, Rio, um, David Beckham's last year, in fact. Um, you beat us that season, didn't you? At Ellen Road.
yes,
He's won one.
yeah, we did. Yeah, we did actually. And that's the last time we beat you since then. And yeah,
No,
I
no,
think,
no,
like I
no,
said,
no. He's beat us in the cup. He's beat us in
it
the cup.
was,
Do you mean Beckham's?
yeah, FA Cup 2010. Yeah, I remember the goal from
Jermaine
Beckford when I
Beckford.
thought it's going. I remember the goal from Beckford. Like, let it go. It's slowly going. It don't let Man United stop. And like, it's going in. We're gonna go through this,
Yeah.
no matter what. So
So, like, see, like, being like down in League One and, you know, the slow transition to finally getting into the Premiership last year. You had some class players. I mean, Becchio, Snodgrass.
Beckford,
Always
yeah,
kept an eye. Always sort of kept an eye on. Not from a supporter's view, but you know, Snodgrass played for Livingston, so I was always sort of having a look. You had Ross McCormack play for you.
yeah, he did. Hausen, we had Hausen as well, and yeah, we did
Yeah,
have some good players. Casper Angergen, and yeah, there was good players there at the time when Leeds were in League One, and there was some decent players, and I actually did well for us in the Championship for a bit at the time, and then they got sold to some 1 or 2 Premier League clubs, and we did have that developmental of how we get our player does well for us, and then if they get attracted by other clubs, we know that they're going to go, but we always knew that we had some good players. So
how did it feel in summer when it finally
it
happened?
was huge. It was huge. It was on my birthday as well. Actually, that was the
Yeah,
best
that's right.
thing.
Yeah,
And you know what? I said to myself, I actually asked for Huddersfield fan, my friends for Huddersfield, look, you better win against West Brom. If you don't win against West Brom, right, there's gonna be trouble. There's gonna be issues when I come court at some point. I'm like, no, but
yeah,
no, I was really, really glad we got the promotion. And the next day we became champions. And I just feel like we know with under Marcel Bielsa, of all the years of with managers, high turnover managers we had, and also owners as well with Chelino, and then with the GFS before that and Kane Bates. I felt like this was coming for a long time. I think with the right owner of
yeah,
Andrea Raz,
100%.
Andrea Rezanesi, and do you know what? It's been huge, and getting Bielsa before because we thought about that. I thought Bielsa to Leeds. I thought that's interesting because a lot of it,
Yeah,
all the
that'd be
opposition fans,
mental.
yeah, and do you know what? And the lot of opposition fans said, yeah, he's not going to cope well in the Premier. He's not going to cope well in the English game championship. He's going to be gone. People say he should get an English manager who knows the championship. No, but Bielsa did do his homework. He watched all the Leeds United
Yeah, he
games.
always did. He always did. You know, I'm a huge Bielsa fan from his days with Atletico Bilbao, with that team with Fernando Llorente, Iker Muniain, Herrera. You know, everyone. Anytime you hear anyone say anything about Bielsa, I mean, Pep thinks he's a god, and I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest. And he smokes smokes 20, 45 a day, lives in Leeds, goes to the local shops, and
Oh
I think
yeah.
my favourite thing about him is, I think he parked up at his house. I think he lives in a council estate, right? And he'd
Yeah.
walk down to like the local Tesco or something, and he's just like, yeah, great, great, great. I just think I love him. I shouldn't because I'm a United fan, but
I know,
um,
mate.
you play great football, right? Yeah, you're gonna concede a lot, but you'd rather have those roller coaster games and be you know, not that I'm like having a go at like a Sam Allardyce team, or we're just gonna play 4-6-0 and hold out for the draw. Marshall also would rather lose 6-4 and still go for it.
Yeah,
And I kind of love that. I
absolutely.
love that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think when we got him, do you know what? We thought to ourselves, let's see how it goes. And then that first game against Stoke, we blew them apart. And then the second game, Derby, we tear them apart as well. And then, do you know what? And I think we thought to ourselves, we could do this. We could do this. And then all of a sudden, we
Yeah,
had that issue with the Dan James transfer that didn't go through. And then we had a dip of form with Sheffield United and Norwich. And I thought to myself, with the controversial goal we scored against Villa as well, where I had to give them the goal. I thought to myself, this is
that was good by
Bielsa-esque.
the
I'm
way. I
like,
thought that was brilliant.
yeah, I know. It took me time to think we need to win this game. And like when I learned it a lot more better now, I thought, yeah, it probably was the right thing to do. Because I feel like Pontus Janssen was thinking what I was thinking. That why are we giving it a go? Why are we giving it a go? I was like, but no, but I understood it in the end. And then I think that lost to Derby. I think it motivated us. And I thought I had a few friends who were Derby fans. They were mocking me. I'm like, listen, you've lost more in the playoffs finals than
Then
any other
anyway,
team you come back. Yeah, exactly. So don't you
because
start off.
it's them in Cardiff, isn't it? They just can't get through those playoffs.
Yeah, it is. It's true, and that's what it was. And I had a few those Derby fans. Because my friend called Dominic and my friend Jake, who I went to school with, they were like, right, yeah, they were mocking me, us, and I thought, no, I'm not going to sit down like this. I'm not like we're going to go through it again. And I promise you, I said to myself, Lampard's not going to be there for long. When he does well, get to the final and then loses, he knows he's not going to be there. And I think it was a blessing in disguise
Yeah,
because we knew Bielsa was going to sign another year extension. We knew that
yeah,
was
because
going
we've
to
got
come.
unfinished work though.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
still is.
yeah, yeah. It is. And do you know what? We knew he was going to take long to make a decision. And my dad was panicking a little bit. So, Dad, don't worry. I think he will sign a contract. This is what he does. This is what he's doing now. Before that, he used to
Yeah,
sign long-term contracts, but he doesn't do that anymore. So I think I knew
his
we were
age,
prepared that, yeah, he's going to take time with this one. And I think it was good for that. And then, yes, we had to sell Janssen and Jack Clark, but we knew that
it's
squad was
worked
still
out for
good
you as
enough.
well. Um,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think the big turning point for you was the stop crying Frank Lampard. Bielsa's team talk was done. The team talk was
I
done
know.
the following season. Um, I think literally see any time something happened to you, I think Bielsa all he needed to really do is scroll down on YouTube and be like, "Do you want that again next year?"
Exactly.
That's your team talk. That's your team talk.
Yeah, exactly. With all that stuff with the spy gate and all that, yeah, with Lampard crying. I'm glad Lampard got sacked because I think that was a huge thing for us. I'm like, yeah, you still cried about us like after because you didn't get Derby because we spied
Spygate and all
again.
that, wasn't it?
You listen, every
Spygate's
team used to spy.
legendary.
Yeah, listen, every team used to spy. So don't tell me it's not new in the English game. It's been like that for a
Here's,
long, long time.
here's the best thing, right? This is quite funny. It's a bit off topic, right? But see, when I used to play like football, right? Me building my fitness back up when I was going back to football at 16, I'd go like going around the pitch, and obviously on the Sunday and that the opposition was doing set pieces or something, and I'd make it look like doing stretches and that. I'd keep an eye on the keeper. I'd always watch the keeper for set pieces and think, right, what's he doing there? I remember
Mm-hmm.
one of the first games I got back on. Um, remember saying to our set piece taker, uh, dip that ball high at him, like just whack it because he's not catching anything. He was like, how do you know? I went, I went for my lap around the pitch, and he was like, did I get caught doing that? Because you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble after the ref. And I was like, I was just doing stretches. I was like, nothing they can do about it. And this was this is at Sunday League level, and I think we won the game something like 5-2. and I remember us
See,
getting a free kick, right? And I was I'm usually sitting on the defence sort of player. Went left back. I think I might have won the foul, and he's away to take the free kick, and I ran over him and zing, absolutely zing it at him, and he's like, "Oh right, yeah, yeah," and ball got whipped off, and we got I think we got 2 goals off the goalkeeper not able to handle it. It was a bit like how Pickford doesn't like to. He's a bit of a butterfingers. It was like that.
yeah,
So it goes on all levels, and I kind of find that. See, if you're not watching your opposition, what are you doing? He already had when he walked into that league. He could tell you everyone for every other team. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a bit like Mourinho would always do it. You hear legendary stories of Mourinho going into the
exactly.
you know
See, you see, that's what you have to do. If you're not going to know your opposition better, how are you supposed to know? I think that's why Bielsa's been good at that. And that press conference
yeah
that he did that day, where he analyzed every single team. I'm like, this is why it's easy. You can do that. It's easy why Bielsa is so good at it, because he does what he does. He is. He's Bielsa. That's why we call it El Loco. That's why we call him the crazy one. That's why he's so
yeah
good at this. I think a lot of opposition teams don't know how to deal with that. And I don't know. And the EFL's like, do you know what? Let's just block this 72 hours. I'm like, dude, you saw you didn't find other teams who used to do it, but you find us because we're Leeds. For crying out loud. So
right. And I don't think anything. Yeah, it's a bit. I think it's more shithousery than anything. Right. But to me, how different is that from Bielsa sitting in the stands? Say you play Saturday and somebody else plays a Sunday. How different is that? Him sitting with a notepad doing a dossier, watching the team.
exactly.
I don't think it's any different because I think watching a team play games, you know, how how different is it really? It's
I
just
know.
more not liked.
Yeah, do you know it was absolute bullshit from the EFL, and now they were coming out. I'm like, listen, you can do what you want. You can fight us, do what you want, but we'll leave. We'll do anything we want. We'll be tired about. We were sick to tired with them because how they treated us so much in the past, and that's like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is kind of more payback. So
yeah, 100%. And you've adopted Hearts as a Scottish team.
yeah,
You picked some year to do that. You've picked some year to do that.
I know. Do you know what? People said to you, why you don't pick Hearts and not Rangers or Celtic? Listen, they're glory hunters,
I
right?
love
I
that from
don't
you.
do.
I love that from you. I
Yeah,
love that
so
from
I've
you. Not
learned
being
that a
biased
lot
to
growing
Rangers.
up now. I said the glory hunts, I don't do glory hunts. I do clubs that is from the passion, no matter what. Yeah, I lived
Uh-huh.
in Leeds for a good few years. Yeah, I lived in Leeds for a good few years, and I could have gone to support his, but I just didn't feel like, just you feel that connection inside. I didn't have that. And I
Yeah,
think I had that more with Hearts for some reason, because Hearts have a bit more close associations with Leeds, with some of the players I've played between the two clubs in the past.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I know
Get it.
AD White is still at the club. So yeah,
AD White, Connor Shaughnessy.
yeah,
Is it Connor Shaughnessy? Yeah, the
yes,
centre back. I get it. Like, see, being at Tynecastle, even in the away end, the passion's mental. Like, it is a no
yeah,
one
I
likes
do
us,
remember
we
that.
don't care attitude. Um,
Yeah,
very much that sort of attitude.
yeah,
You've got
exactly.
Trophy Shield.
Yeah, exactly. My first game was the Edinburgh Derby. So myself and my colleague, because he won a
Yeah,
raffle from computer share from work, right? So he was here. So look, listen, I'll come with you because we'll be sitting in the stands. But I'm more likely with his bodyguard type. So I remember that. I said, dude, don't even celebrate, because if you celebrate, every single Hearts fan is going to jump on you, and I'm going to have to save you to get you out of the stadium. And I remember quite well with that one. But when I think
yeah.
it was Karl Levy scored, it was that 2-1 win Karl Levy scored, and I do
Was
remember,
that just before the
yeah,
Hibs 5-5? The Rangers the week later.
mm-hmm,
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly that. So yeah, it was just, yeah, and we do, and Chris couldn't believe that Chris sat down. I was kind of cheering a little bit. I was like, yeah, this
Because it
scored,
was
mate. I'm not protecting you. You're on your
2-1
own.
up.
This was, Yeah,
Who were
2-1. I
Hearts,
think it
wasn't
was in 2017. I think it was 2017, 18 before the season, the split. So I think we were
it?
fight. I think you were, yes, and that was my first game.
Finished
So
18 points ahead of Hearts that season.
you did, yeah, huge 18 points, a huge gap, and that was the start of the problems we were going to have. So yeah,
Yeah, 100%. You think promotion's on this year? Even when you're getting
yeah, I
a
do.
strong push from, Dunfermline and Dundee have just brought in Jason Cummins and that. You think it'll
Yeah,
still on?
yeah, do you know what? I think it's still on for the promotion. Yeah, Dunfermline are going to give us a run, but we are points ahead. But like I said, the season's not over yet, and we do need to make sure we keep our momentum going. I think Robin Nielsen coming back, that was a huge mixed reaction from a lot of fans. I can understand
Yeah,
why. I really
no, it was
could,
huge.
but I think that's been a positive how he's trying to get the club back, and I think
Does
he
it
moving to
football,
Milton
doesn't it?
Keynes. Yeah, it does, and I think him going to Milton Keynes in the end, didn't make no sense. It didn't make no sense because I think he still would have made the club a bit more progressive, if he was still there a few years ago. So
From what I can gather, sorry, I dropped my earphone there. From what I can gather, he came back because Craig Levine wasn't there anymore. Craig
that's the
Levine was
point. Yeah,
job on for him. But no, we need you back in the league, man. Or what? The best days of the season are home and away, I think, home and away, Hearts. Anyone asks me, it's just that, it's only 2 days after the 5-year anniversary of the 2-2.
yeah.
The game that threw away the Scottish Cup. And somebody says to me, what's your favourite game ever? Everyone expects me to say the Scottish Cup final. But I wasn't there, so obviously it's one of the greatest days of my life ever. But see, because I was at
Yeah.
the Hearts game, I've got such an emotional tie to it. It's
Oh, hugely.
one of them, and I get the emotional tie with Hearts as well because they have got a lead thing about them. There is a lead thing. There's a very lead thing about it. So I do
Yeah.
get you picking Hearts because Hibs, we want to play a certain way. We're not happy when we're not playing good football, as people see on social media. Jack Ross has had some amount of stick, including off myself at times.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen that. Yeah.
and you know what? I'll hold my hands up. I'm probably wrong about this. On it, I'm probably wrong. Um, so just gonna finish up, Carl. I think we've been on for nearly an hour and 40 minutes. Um, remember, I texted you a message the other week there. Um, we're gonna do this sort of football podcast then, if you fancy it.
Yes. I hopefully
Um,
now. Yeah, I'm hopeful now because
um,
for me, because like I said, I am at home and I've been working from home and I've just started my own little side business. So I always try to make time as I can. I always try to make the best time as I can because you know me quite well. I'm not the best punctual person, right? But not most
yeah,
of the time. You get Axel in that. Axel in that. She knows that. She knows I'm not the
yeah,
most
no, I've
punctual
knew you
person.
long enough, man.
So
Um,
yeah,
so my idea is at having it on a Wednesday night if we're both free, or just do it one night a week, even if we can. I know it'll depend on your shifts, but I'm gonna tell the viewers now, because this should, I mean, the podcast has done pretty good numbers over the last couple of guests. Keep an eye on the channel because there will be a football podcast coming on. I've asked a couple of my friends. I'd ask you to reach out to Ian and that,
yeah,
and we'll just have a good, gab about the football, and it could go anywhere we want it. I didn't want a script or that. We can just take it wherever it goes,
yeah.
um,
Oh,
and we'll just see what happens.
oh no, that would be huge. It'd be huge.
Um,
Yeah, I'm glad I'm going to be part of this because I feel like
no,
I have.
I've been playing with the idea for a wee while, of doing a sort of football thing after being on Sam Radio. Um, but yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Carl. Where can
You're
people
welcome.
catch the Sam Radio Football Show and yourself on social media?
Yeah, Absolutely. You can find me on Karl Levy 92. I am on Twitter, so you can find me on there. And also, you can find the Sam Radio Football Show at Sam Radio TFS as well on Twitter as well. We are live every Friday between 3 and 5 p.m. on Sam Radio. You can find us on TuneIn or you can find us on your smart speaker. We are now on Alexa as well as Google as well.
Oh, brilliant.
And also, we are still from the website as well, if you can, from samradio.org as well. So you can find us on there. And we have a Facebook page on Facebook as well at Sam Major Football Show. You can follow us on there as well. We'll do update where we can do. So yeah, no, they can find me on there. And you know what? I'm really glad I've done this with you because I felt like I just, you know what? Everyone doesn't know about me as much, and if people do think they know me, but then now get to know me a lot more. So no, I really appreciate that, Andrew,
Yeah,
for
thanks for
taking,
coming on, man. It's been
hey,
smashed.
no worries. Listen, right. Yeah, listen, right. You know me. If I'm working after night shift, if I'm done finishing on the block, I'm always going to be available for that after the first hour or two when I wake up. I have no problem with that. I think everyone knows that I'm very alert when I wake up. So yeah.
Right, thank you very much for coming on, man. I'll stick everything in the description for you, and that's it, guys. Keep an eye out on the podcast. The podcast should be out every Monday at 5 o'clock. So thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.